Welcome back, everyone. In today's video, I'm going to talk about banking, and specifically today I'm going to talk about the big five banks here in Canada. I know when I ask my students what bank are they currently with, almost all of them will say RBC, that's the big one. It is Canada's biggest bank. It's actually, I think, ranked 11th biggest bank in the entire world. So it makes sense that most of my students would be with that bank. Others will say TD Bank, CIBC, BMO, and Scotiabank. So those five make up the big five banks here in Canada. And often you'll hear the big six banks here in Canada. And National Bank makes up that sixth bank. But here in Alberta, National Bank isn't that good. So I'm going to focus on the big five banks for this video. And of course, there will be one student that will say, I'm with ATB, or one student will say, I'm with Service Credit Union or something like that. But for the most part, it is the big five banks that these students are with. What people don't understand is the fees that these banks do charge to bank with them. And so I want to focus on the fees and the interest rates that these banks charge. And this doesn't necessarily affect my students yet, or younger people, younger adults even, as all these big five banks will have no fee banking for students. And that's starting to change a little bit as well. I was talking to a representative at CIBC, and they said they've actually changed that policy, and now they make their accounts free for anyone under 24 years old. And I can't confirm that's true for all the banks, but CIBC has made that change. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to focus on RBC. All the big five banks will be about the same. And the important thing is that you look at these fees and see what you're paying and what interest rate you're getting. But because RBC is Canada's biggest bank, I'm just going to show you what RBC is doing. And so if we look at RBC's checking accounts, there is a lot of different options that you have to choose from. So you can see here, there's 4 different checking accounts that you can choose from, and they all have fees associated with them. So you have your Essentials, that's $4 per month. The RBC Advantage Banking, that's $11.95 per month. And I want you to think about that. $11.95 per month is $143.50 per year. So that's almost $150 over the year that you're paying to keep your money with this bank. And then you have your unlimited debits and even more. That's $16.95 per month. And again, putting that in an annual perspective, that's over $200, $203 to keep your money in that bank. And then they have the RBC VIP banking, and that's $30 per month. And again, that's $360 over the whole year. And so they do offer different things. So you can see the $4 day-to-day banking offers 12 debits free per month. And again, these are just the sort of the base fees. I know some of my students have complained that when they go over their amount of debits per month, they get charged $5 for every transaction after that. One student said she was charged $65 extra that month for going over her transaction limit. So these are just base fees for what you're getting from the bank. And to put that into a percentage perspective, let's say you hold $1,000 in your account. So if you're being charged $16.95 per month, which ends up being, again, $200 per year, that's 20% of your money being put back into the bank. And I get that's oversimplified. You get paid interest daily at the end of the day, and then over a month, after that month, that sum gets deposited into your account. So that is oversimplified. But if you were to hold $1,000 and just leave it in there being charged at $16.95, you would be charged 20% of what you are holding. And again, if you held $10,000, that gets reduced to 2%. But again, they're taking 2% of your money just for keeping your money in this bank. Let's look at some of the savings accounts that RBC offers. Again, all the big banks will offer the same types of accounts. And so if we look at some of the savings accounts here, you can see that this high interest e-savings account offers 1.4%. And honestly, that for a big bank, that is fairly reasonable. There are a lot of restrictions to this account though, so be aware of that. Always read the fine print. So if we click on it over here, you'll see that we do have to be careful. There's one free ATM cash withdrawal per month. After that, it's $5 per month to use Interac through that account. It's $2 every time you use Interac. E-transfers are $1 each. Right, there's a whole bunch of other fees associated with this account to earn that 1.4%. And looking back at some of the others, so the RBC Enhanced Savings, it offers you, if you have over $250,000 in this account, they'll give you 0.01%. And if probably for the majority of people, you probably hold less than $5,000 in your saving account. So there, if you look at the bottom, that's 0%. They're actually giving you no interest on this savings account. They do have other options here. So they have the day-to-day, and again, it ranges from 0.005 to 0.01%. So again, putting numbers into perspective, if you hold $10,000 in this account, they're actually going to give you $1 over that year. So $10,000 earns you $1. And I know a lot of my students will joke when they look at their accounts on the first of every month, and they'll joke, I got 1 cent of interest this month on my bank account. And I mean, that's fairly low considering the fees that these banks are charging you. And if we look at the savings accounts for children, so they have their little Leo's savings account here, and you're also getting the 0.01%. I don't know anyone under 13 that probably has more than the $5,000. But they also have a student banking, and again, you're getting 0% interest on this. So why would someone bank with these big 5 banks if, obviously, I'm going to tell you about a lot of other options that you have? Well, I've sort of came up with maybe 9 reasons why people would bank with these big 5 banks, or do bank with these big 5 banks. The first reason, they're everywhere, right? If you walk down the street, on every corner, every block, you'll see one of the big 5 banks. It's just really convenient, and they're there. Number 2, and this is the big one, their parents bank there, right? All my kids bank at the bank that they are with because their parents are with that bank. I'll bet you there's a lot of adults watching this right now who are still with the same bank that their parents are with. And I think there's this fear of it's too hard to switch, or it's too inconvenient to switch, so I'm just going to stick with these banks. And it's actually now especially really easy to switch your banks. Number 3 is probably they think it's safe, right? These are the big 5 banks in Canada. They are some of the safest banks in the entire world, but I'll show you some other options, and they're equally as safe. They're all CIDC insured, and your money is safe. If you have $100,000, up to $100,000 is guaranteed insured, and other banks are just as safe. Don't get me wrong, these big 5 banks will never go bankrupt. They're not going anywhere. So yes, they are extremely safe. Number 4 is easy access to their money. Because they're everywhere, you can always find a bank machine, get some cash out whenever you need it. Number 5, personalized service. I know my parents have been with RBC for years and years and years, and I talked to them about switching banks because of the high fees. They've been retired for a few years now, so they have a financial advisor associated with them, and they love her. So my mom says it's worth it for how nice she treats us. So there is that aspect. Number 6, there's so many options. There is 4 or 5 different checking accounts there. Look at how many savings accounts you have to choose from. So you can really personalize to suit your needs. Number 7 is that they do a really good job of tracking your spending, right? If you want to create a budget, you can go to your bank. If you just use your debit card often, it's all there. It'll break it down for you. It'll tell you where your money is going. Some of the new features are that the big banks will actually give you your credit score. So I know when my students turn 18, all of a sudden they're able to see what their credit score is, and they can see it grow, and they really like that aspect. Number 8, it's all they know. that you don't, a lot of people don't know that there's other options out there. They know the big five banks or six banks. They don't know that there's other options out there, so they stick with what they know. Number 9, this is the last one, one-stop shopping. I mean, these big banks are so big that they can actually offer anything you can think about money. Checking account, savings account, business accounts, business loans, personal loans, mortgages, HELOCs, you name it, insurance, credit cards, they offer them all. These are some of the reasons that I think that people stay with the big five banks. I will show you in the next video that there are some other options out there, far better options, lower fees, higher interest rates, and it's really easy to switch. And I know I had a conversation with one parent, and she said, bank fees are just a part of life. We just have to learn how to deal with them. I've actually never paid a bank fee in my entire life. It doesn't have to be a part of your life. So if you are interested in watching that next video, please subscribe below, and I thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.